If it wasn't evident from my background headwear and my Loki episode reviews, I'm a huge fan of the MCU. It's my favorite franchise of all time by far. Like, as much as I love Star Wars, Star Wars has some bad stuff in it. I don't think we have a bad entry in the MCU. 24 movies and almost 3 whole TV shows, and I still don't think there's a bad MCU film or show. And I mean, there's some not so great ones, but I'll elaborate on that later in my MCU ranking, which is coming. But anyway, so the latest MCU film, Black Widow, just came out. I saw it, and what did y'all think? Let me know. Anyway, thoughts on Black Widow. Um, Negative stuff first. Some of the lighting in some of the shots made it difficult to make out what was actually going on. Like, sometimes there'd be this huge bright light blaring behind a character, and it was like, huh? What's going on here? So yeah, that was a little weird. The villains are kind of weak. They're like there's one guy who needed to be there for the story to work, but he was just a complete idiot. like it was so moronic in the way how he had all this stuff planned out in his head, all this great stuff going on around the world without going into any spoilers. And then he had the most simplistic ways of doing the little things that ultimately led to his defeat. This is an MCU movie, so yeah. The I think Taskmaster was really cool, but they did stuff with the character that I wasn't the biggest fan of. When it was just the character in like action sequences, I thought it was really cool, but every other time it was, it's just okay. I wanted to see more backstory on Black Widow. Like, they did a little bit of the Red Room and Budapest and stuff like that, but I wanted to see a little bit more of Black Widow in what's the movie called again? Oh yeah, Black Widow. Why is there so little Black Widow stuff? I think the Rick Mason character was kind of dumb. Like, this British dude that helps Natasha every so often pops up every now and again in the movie. What was he doing there? What was the point of that character at all? I also found that the movie didn't really get, like, it didn't really pick up steam until Yelena showed up. And before that, it was a little bit of a slog. I think everything else about the movie worked really well. I like that it was able to tell kind of a more personal story, even though the stakes were admittedly pretty high. The main family dynamic here worked really well for me. Natasha, I thought, was great in all the scenes that she was in, and they didn't really elaborate on her character that much, but I don't really think that bothered me all that much. I wanted to see a little bit more of her backstory, but the fact that they didn't really do much with much new with her character wasn't really an issue for me. The two standouts in the film were Yelena, played by Florence Pugh. She was hilarious. I was not expecting her to be as funny as she was. Like, I mean, I like Florence Pugh. She's very talented, but I wasn't expecting her to be this quippy. And yeah, she was hilarious. And then the other standout was David Harbour. I'm a big Stranger Things fan. It's one of my favorite shows. And so, yeah, I love David Harbour. And it was really fun to see him in this movie. He was hilarious. Stole every scene he was in. I like the sort of Incredibles style thing that they did with him, where it was like he was trying to fit into his suit, and there was actually a trailer put out for The Incredibles where it was Bob Parr trying to get into his suit, and it was really funny. And that was kind of like what they did with David Harbour in this movie. Yeah, I liked Melina, her character. She was played by Rachel Weisz, who was nominated for an Oscar a couple of years ago. I really enjoyed her. The action, top notch, fantastic. The score was fine. The score didn't really play a big part for me. I think the emotional moments worked really well. The film is a lot funnier than I expected it to be, and I thought it was going to be a little bit darker, but yeah, it was actually kind of lighthearted in a lot of the scenes with the family, especially. So I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know where I expected it to fall in my MCU placements, but yeah, it wasn't like one of their better efforts, but it was a solid movie. I give it like a B plus. So yeah, what do y'all think of Black Widow? Um, Tell me down below in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thank you for watching as always, and keep calm and watch on.